5 children disappeared and I'm going to find them. With my trusty toy gun and cowboy hat, I jump down to the underground and discover a wonderful world of monsters. Some of them attack me, but others are actually really nice and even help me out. Though apparently their king actually captured those 5 kids because he needs human souls to free all the monsters. Can I find justice by freeing those children without hurting the innocent monsters? This is 100% of Undertale Yellow Pacifist. After landing on a bed of golden flowers, I check the archway, then immediately run into a frogget. But before the monster frog can do anything, a glaring goat lady slides in to scare the frogget away. Her name is Toriel and she's very sweet, offering to protect me and to guide me through the ruins. So I follow Goat Mama into the next area where she solves a puzzle to open a door for us. Then in the next room, Toriel has me flip a labeled switch and then another, but the spikes don't go away. So I try the unlabeled switch instead, then suddenly the ground breaks beneath me and I fall through. Toriel panics and calls out to me, telling me to stay there till she can come back and help. But I get impatient and head up instead, eventually finding a talking golden flower. His name is Flowey and he wants to teach me how things work around here, so we enter a battle, then he tells me to dodge his bullets. Since I don't trust him, I stay there and take the hit, but he actually apologizes and then tells me to try again. Though I keep still and take another hit, frustrating him as he tells me to dodge. You sicko! Are you doing this on purpose? Fine, I'll just stop sending them then. He then reveals that the Monster King Asgore has been slaying humans and my only way out is through him. But Flowey will help by becoming my save point that I can use to heal and save my progress. As I explore the upper path, I bump into a flyer monster who wants to try fighting, so I carefully dodge its swarming flies. But instead of fighting back, I decide to comfort the flyer, which they appreciate, allowing me to spare them for 2 gold. I then pull some levers to lower spikes before reaching a room where I need to brighten all the blocks. Touching one flips its color, but also the colors of the cubes next to it, so after a few careful taps, I solve the puzzle and pass the spikes. At the end of a long hallway, I find a mysterious hooded figure talking to himself, rehearsing a reunion with someone he's met before. Then after regretting a choice he made in the past, he turns around and notices me. But he thinks he's hallucinating, so he panics and runs off. I follow him into the next room but get interrupted by the pencil-wielding Panilla. She draws dangerous lines towards me, so I carefully slide around them, then compliment her, but she doesn't believe me. Now she draws a dangerous spinning windmill, so I carefully dodge around it, then distract her instead. Happy to have a break, she lets me spare her, then I find Flowey again. But he says that in order to get out of here, I'll have to go through that creepy hooded guy. After distracting and sparing another Panilla, I head right to find an abandoned lemonade stand. Apparently it's 5 gold each, but nobody's around, so I pour myself a glass. Still, I tip 5 gold anyway, then leave and head up to find a corn maze. Sweet corn hops up excitedly. Oh, it's so cute! It's a happy corn. Eat it! Oh wait, no, I don't know if I should lick it. That's gonna like kill it. All right, let's give it a hug. You give sweet corn a big hug. She briefly gets stuck to your shirt. Uh-oh. I'm feeling the love. Whoa! Oh! Oh! It's please stop! Thankfully, now she lets me spare her, but after walking through the maze some more, I run into another sweet corn. I'm gonna lick ya, because I want to taste you. All you can taste is sugar. Ugh. Whatever makes you happy. Aw. Oh! Bro! That's not gentle! No impaling me from below. After sparing her, I flip the switch and find candy corn before checking the left exit. Inside is a pile of bullet-shaped pebbles that I load into my gun as ammo. Back outside, I head to the right exit, then I overhear that hooded figure again who seems traumatized about something that happened before. But then he turns around and notices me before rushing off again. Since I can't reach him, I flip a switch, then pass some lower spikes, which leads me to the living mirror Rorim. After I dodge its mirrors and their shatters, I adjust my hat, which makes the Rorim happy. But it's still not sparable, so I try smiling instead, but that doesn't work either, so I critique my appearance. Now after dodging its boomeranging crystals, I can finally spare the Rorim and save with Flowey, then head down a dark path. But suddenly it gets pitch black, then creepy eyes emerge in the dark as Decibat drops down to attack me. He tells me not to move or make a sound, so I hold still to easily dodge his blue waves attack. Then I try talking to him, but he immediately hushes me and tells me to move in silence. So I move through all of his orange waves to avoid the attacks, then try watching him in silence, which makes him happy. But now he mixes blue and orange wave attacks, so I carefully move through the orange waves and hold still through the blue ones. Silently watching him again makes him even happier, but now his waves bounce around my box while changing colors. I take a couple hits, but still silently watch again and again until finally Decibat is satisfied with the sweet silence, letting me spare him. He says I'm now an honorary sentinel of silence, then flies off, so I explore the next room and encounter Crispy Scroll. They immediately start Kamehameha lasering me, so I try Fusion Ha transforming with them, but then they just yell and attack again. So I try yelling too, which gets their attention and powers them 50% up. Then I yell again and dodge their quick ninja slashes to to fully power up the anime scroll and spare them. Now I find a bunch of blocks and can interact to turn them and the nearby ones on and off, and after a bit of trial and error, I managed to light up all the blocks, which lowers the spikes. The next room ends in a broken bridge, but there's a fake wall, so I remove the tarp, which reveals a big hole. Inside is a dark cave, and after exploring the dark corridors, I find a feather and stick it into my hat for 2 defense. You notice a dark path beyond the rocks, but you can't squeeze past them. You trying to call me thick? I can fit just fine! Do I look thick to you? I then find the cave's exit and catch up to the hooded guy. He panics and asks me to leave, then rushes into a dark room, then Flowey tells me to deal with him so I can escape the ruins. A nearby sign reveals his name is Dalv, but before I follow him, I explore the left side and pick up the corn dog. Then I check the lower path and find a 1 in the wall that I interact with for a ribbon. Remembering other wall numbers from before, I head back to the dark cave for number 2, the room before Decibat for number 3, where I first saw Dalv for number 4, and the hallway after meeting Flowey for number 5. Finally, I return to the dark cave and see the upper right path unblocked, then enter inside. Passing through the darkness, I hear movement in the distance but keep moving forward until suddenly the darkness clears and a white pixel bounces towards me to start a fight. After the microfrog at ribbits, a giant fly suddenly appears that chases me all around. I try complimenting the microfrog, but it doesn't seem convinced as several microfroggets suddenly jump up at me. Though finally I can spare the pixel so it and its friend wave goodbye, then bounce away. Just a bit further, I find a mysterious golden pear and take it into my inventory, then leave the dark cave. Finally, I go after Dalv, then he says that I look just like someone else and asks if I come here to finish him off. I have no idea what he's talking about, but he's convinced that I'm this attacker from before and won't let me stay, so he takes off his hood and starts a fight. He uses lightning to strike from above and from the side, so I carefully dodge his zaps and talk instead of fighting back, but he doesn't seem to listen. I try a handshake, but instead of shaking back, he swarms me with his lightning balls. Eventually, I give up and just keep sparing while Dalv surrounds me with lightning attacks and even throws lightning bolts at me that I carefully avoid. But eventually, he notices my sad face and asks if I remember him. Even though I look just like the person who traumatized him, he realizes that I look so helpless and different and that I'm not trying to hurt him. So he finally recognizes that I'm not this other human and apologizes but doesn't know how to make this right. So I offer a handshake which surprises him as a sign of friendship, then he agrees to try being friends and I spare him. But he has no idea what to do as friends, so he starts by inviting me to his house and I follow him inside. Once I'm in, he encourages me to stay as long as I like, so I check the fridge which has leftover sponge cake he made for his birthday, but it's really just a sponge covered in frosting. I still take it, then head to the right and find a corn painting. Apparently Dalv used to find corn on his doorstep every morning and had no idea who was leaving it, but one day the corn stopped coming, so Dalv hid himself away. Finally, it's time to leave, so Dalv leads me to a boarded up door, then thanks me and reveals that he's going to leave this place too. He'll need a few days to prepare first, but he removes the boards for me, then asks for my name, so I tell him that I'm Clover. Once he thanks me and leaves, I exit outside to find lots of snow and trees. Not much further, I run into Flowey again, who congratulates me on escaping the ruins, then asks for my name. It's Gun Hat. That's right. To the right, I encounter an igloo enemy that says igloo, then attacks me with snowflakes. Inspecting the igloo doesn't do anything, but when I dance, suddenly a crab peeks out of the igloo and wants to join. After I dodge its ice cubes, I dance again and again, then finally spare the Frosterman. Up top is a box that I can store items in and somehow get them back from similar boxes later, so I put my useless patch in there, then head back to Flowey's room to check the upper path. 2 married monsters are here and apparently got lost while exploring the underground on their honeymoon. They ask me for a map, but since I don't have one, I head back to the right and eventually see a blue bird monster adjusting a puzzle. Once she's done, she leaves to Honeydew Resort, so I check the sign to learn that her name is Martlet, then I try the puzzle. I need to move the logs back and forth so the lava ball reaches the ice and melts it. After the second melt, the gate opens and I'm able to pass through. Now there's a rabbit monster with their tongue stuck to a pole and they ask me to find some warm coffee to free their poor tongue. Since my lemonade doesn't work, I leave to the right and find an abandoned shack, then use Flowey to save inside. Further right, I find a crystal and interact with it, then suddenly ice pellets fall into the crystal and destroy it, so I pick up the ice pellets and use them as ammo for my gun. Heading back, I check the upper path and run into an Insomnitot who attacks me with Z's. I try singing a lullaby to put them to sleep, but it doesn't work, so I instead lecture them about good sleep being healthy, but they just ignore me. After dodging their shooting stars, I try hypnotizing them, which actually tires them out, then I sing a lullaby which puts them to sleep this time, letting me spare them. Further up, I actually find a mug of hot chocolate, but before I can get it, a raccoon monster suddenly slides in and grabs it. Apparently he's a salesman named Mo and he asks if I want the drink. I say yes, but he says I don't want the drink, then smashes smashes it. Apparently he's invented frozen hot chocolate and wants to sell me those as pops instead. So I buy a hot pop, lukewarm pop, and cold pop, then head back to the rabbit to try them. But none of the pops help at all, so I head back to the upper path and run into No Cone. The caveman-minded Cone attacks me with swarms of blueberries, so I encourage them to chase their dreams. But apparently they dream of shoving their cherries in my face, so I educate them about fire being dangerous, and they appreciate me warning them, allowing me to spare them. Humph, 238. Humph, 239. At this pace, Ice Wolf is ready for a new job in no time. New job is very important for Ice Wolf. Ice Wolf needs money for new pants. Oh, you're pantsless. What happened to your other pants? Further up, I reach some kind of bell, then a flying whale floats down from above. Apparently they're a mail whale from the Underground Postal Service, and surprisingly they have a letter for me. I open it up to see that it's from the mail service themselves, welcoming me to the underground and hoping I have friends with letters to send. Hey, watch it. Oh, come on. Do you mind if I suck you so that I can deliver the fluids to someone in need? The mug calls in their two friends, and apparently Refill leads this gang called the Shufflers and won't let me pass. But just as I start a fight, they tell me to calm down and accept their challenge instead, where they hide a ball and shuffle it, then I have to say where it is. Sure enough, they turn around and flip over, then show me the ball before shuffling themselves. But I easily guess the ball's location, so they challenge me again with a faster shuffle, though I guess that ball's spot too. Finally, the last challenge begins, and this one is the hardest, though I keep track just fine and correctly guess the final ball's cup. Surprisingly, Refill stays true to their word and says the Shufflers are now my allies, then they let me through to Honeydew Resort. Inside, I talk to the shopkeeper and buy a honeydew pin for +4 defense, along with a coffee, then head all the way back to the rabbit. But when I try to pour the coffee, they panic and tell me to stop since the coffee's too hot. So I head back to Honeydew Resort and talk to a superfan there who asks me to get the band to play their favorite song and will reward me. So I ask the keyboard player to change the song and check with the superfan, but it's not the right song. So I go back and forth between the band and the superfan, changing songs again and again until finally their favorite song plays and they reward me with the band merch pin, which gives 5 defense. Then behind the resort, I find a hot spring for microfroggets and a golden coffee. After snatching the coffee, I head all the way back to the rabbit. Alright, I swear, if this coffee doesn't work, maybe some warm coffee will free my poor tongue. It's like, so I give up and check the inn's left path to find an ant monster who's missing a mitten. On the inn's right path, I meet an antlered monster who wants coffee from the resort. So I give them the honeydew coffee, which makes them happy, and they reward me with a soggy mitten. Remembering the ant, I head back to the left path and give the ant the mitten, so they reward me with a map of Snowdon. Now I head all the way back to the lost couple and give them the map, so they reward me with some matches. Unsure what to do next, I try talking to everyone until I reach the antlered monster again, who lets the coffee cool down and wants to start a campfire. So I give them the matches and they reward me with my coffee, but now it's a bit cooler. Finally, I head all the way back to the rabbit again and can actually pour the warm coffee onto the pole, which melts the ice and frees the rabbit's tongue. As thanks for freeing them, the rabbit rewards me with a silver scarf, which gives 6 defense and heals 2 HP every turn. Now I head all the way back to the resort and past the antlered monster to see Martlet hammering a sign and flying away. The nearby bridge is detached planks moving up and down, so I carefully move across but end up falling and landing on a conveniently placed cushion. Though on my next attempt, I flawlessly make it across and press a switch to lock the planks in place. To the right, I run into the triple stack Trihecta who try to smack me with their large balls. After squeezing between their balls, I try climbing Trihecta, but Tri just pushes me away. Now they attack me with bouncy balls, and once I dodge their slams, I try pulling Trihecta, which makes the trio wobble. But when I follow it up with a push, the trio stabilizes again, undoing my pull. So now I pull 2 times back to back, which makes the stack fall apart, separating the 3 monsters for an easy spare. Further right, I check the barrel and find coffee beans, which I load into my gun as ammo. Then up top, I find another lava rock puzzle and have to raise and lower platforms to guide the rolling lava rock to the ice cube. After the second melt, the gate opens up and I pass through to eventually find Martlet in her booth. She notices me and recognizes me as a human, so she pulls out her Royal Guard guidebook and gets ready to arrest me by starting a fight. Strangely, she vocalizes step 1, which is for me to go first. So I check her to see that she's scatterbrained, then she's confused because I didn't attack and actually lets me go again. But instead of attacking, I just act, so she gets confused and checks her book while giving me another turn. Yet again I act, then she just apologizes for the wait and thinks it's my turn again. But this time when I spare her, she finally decides to attack by launching feathers at me, which deal 2 damage. But the scarf automatically heals me back to full, then I spare her again. Now she throws boxes full of puzzle building parts at me which spill their contents, but I easily avoid her tosses and spare again. A circle of feather arrows surrounds me, but I dodge their charges one by one, then spare once more. Suddenly quadruple clusters of feathers spike spiral outwards, which surprised me and hit me several times. The scarf heals some of it back as I carefully weave between her slow falling feathers and spare again. Now she flies up to push me down as several puzzle parts drop down from above me. But now she's really confused since I'm not fighting back, so she checks her book while I spare once more, then asks me to be more aggressive. Sparing doesn't do anything anymore, so I call Martlet a weenie. You call Martlet a weenie? Weenie! This time I tell Martlet I don't like her clothes, which seems to bother her a little more, then I dodge her speedy feathers. Finally, I insult her job performance, then Martlet reveals that it's true she hasn't been doing well and is actually one mistake away from losing Royal Guard status. Since her hesitation in our battle could be the mistake that costs her this job, she decides to get me home so the Royal Guard never realizes that she messed up. She wants to bring me to Asgore thinking that it'll let me go home, so I follow her up top for her to reveal her raft. Then she apologizes for attacking me and asks if I trust her, so I say yes, which makes her very happy. Ready to start our adventure, I tell her I'm ready to leave, then I hop onto the raft. Once she looses the rope and flies on board, we pass through Waterfall and she asks for my name. So I tell her I'm Clover, then she starts gushing about this raft she made until suddenly the raft starts speeding up. We then reach Hotland whilst going faster and faster until we crash into a rock, launching me off the edge. She calls out to me and asks if I'm okay, then leaves to get help, so I get up and loot trail mix from a chest and explore the cave to find Flowey, who says that Martlet ditched me. He encourages me to find another way to Asgore's castle, so I exit the cave and end up in some kind of desert, then suddenly a slimy Doombud attacks me. Somehow it's above me and tries to fall down on me before sliding below me and trying to jump into me. I try patting the slime, but this just confuses them, then they attack with a swarm of tumbleweeds that I carefully avoid. Jiggling the Doombud makes it giggle while shooing it away also confuses it. Suddenly a bucket falls to the ground and lifts to reveal a sandcastle which shoots arrows at me. Struggling to spare the Doombud, I tried jiggling again, but the slime just giggles like before. But now when I lovingly pat the slime, they actually nuzzle my hand, so I'm finally able to spare it. To the right is a box of packing peanuts, so I take them for healing, then head back up top to find a UGPS bell. Ringing it summons the mail whale who gives me letters from Slurpee and Mo. Mo's letter says he's selling a new premium product for half off, so I should find his stand, while Slurpee's letter thanks me for freeing him from that pole. Nearby signs warn me about a sandstorm ahead, and sure enough, I need to take cover behind various structures to avoid the storm while slowly progressing towards a random monster with dynamite. Apparently there's treasure behind the X, so they want to blow up the wall, and they even stole the TNT from their brother. But they're waiting out the storm, so I leave them be and keep progressing cover to cover until I find the thing that's causing the whole storm. It's a fan! Who turned this crap on? Yes, turn it off! I go back to the dynamite monster, but they still haven't blown up the wall. So I head back to the fan and explore upwards to find Flowey in a big tree. Then to the right, I run into a snake in a pot called Sir Slither, who attacks me with sliding, slithering snakes. I challenge him to tell me what he can help me with, then he says he's a great travel companion and forms pottery near me, which shoots out dangerous pellets. So I try believing Sir Slither, but then something feels off as my view turns foggy and the shady snake delightfully tells me that we'll go far together. This time I doubt Sir Slither, which disappoints him but doesn't make him spareable. Challenging again doesn't help either, and neither does believing, but eventually I doubt him twice in a row, which finally lets me spare him. Curious, I head back and check the upper path to find something covered in tarp as Mo shows up behind me. He quickly tears off his sleeves and slides in from the left, hyping up his brand new offer before he pulls off the tarp and reveals a water dispenser. But when he asks if I want a glass and I say yes, the water instantly evaporates as he dispenses it. So he steps aside, then suddenly slides a large stand into the dispenser, which launches it away. Now Mo wants to sell me iced tea without any ice, so I buy the iced tea, green tea, and sea tea, then Mo thanks me and slides his stand away. Once he's gone, I head back to the right path and reach a room filled with rolling tumbleweeds. I carefully run around them, then encounter a spiky cactini. He forms a circle above me which suddenly shoots needles at me that I easily dodge. So I try avoiding the cactini, but this just makes him sad as he assaults me with needles again. But when I carefully pat him in between his spines, suddenly his spines gradually slide down while I move towards the green zones, which makes him very happy and allows me to spare him. Then to the right, I find a large dark stone and get flint ammo from it, which I load into my gun. I also find the east mines and enter inside to find a discarded belt buckle, which I take and put on for myself. But I get stuck on the first floor since the elevator is jammed and I don't have an item that can help. Thankfully to the left, I find a worker who offers to lend me their pickaxe for 30 gold. So I buy the pickaxe and head back to the elevator to break the wood with a pick. This does the trick as I head into the elevator with an employee and we ride up to the next floor. Down the hallway, I run into the bullish bull who attacks me with sliding spoons, forks, and knives. I try cleaning him, but he huffs at me, then puts me in a mug with dangerous liquid and throws in marshmallows to raise the fluid. So I try consoling instead, but he insists he's tough, though when I console soul once more, he seems to like it. Finally, he lets me clean him, which makes him happy and allows me to spare him. The next room has a minecart with blue rocks, one with green rocks, and one with orange rocks. To open the way forward, I have to guide each minecart to its proper symbol and color, so I switch the lower junction and push the green cart to its end, then switch the junction again and push the orange cart. Finally, for the blue cart, I rotate its junctions to form a continuous path and push the blue to the end, which opens the path. Inside, I find a safety jacket which strangely gives lower defense, so I don't wear it. The nearby miner says he lost his TNT and is worried about getting fired since he won't be able to provide for himself and his unemployed brother anymore. But when I walk down, I find his missing hat and push it back to him, so he happily puts it on and gives me his eternal gratitude. Finally, I head outside where giant boulders are crashing down. I almost make it past them all, but then one puts me in a fight where several rocks fall and shatter around me. Afterwards, I quickly run inside, then check the minecart to jump in. On the other side is another minecart puzzle, but this one's more complicated, so I take my time interacting with the right junctions and pushing the minecarts across one by one until the path is opened. In the next room, I check the trash to find fruitcake, which heals a massive 25 HP. Then I head outside and ride an elevator up to meet Flowey, who warns me that Asgore is a powerful boss monster, but since I'm human, my soul is even stronger. After saving, I check the right path when suddenly a spotlight appears and a masked luchador monster jumps up in front of me. His name is El Bailador, and he hates how quiet I am, thinking that I might be a sentinel of silence. So he challenges me to dance, forming dance pads underneath us as a battle begins. Suddenly I'm on a Guitar Hero style track and I need to press Z right when the notes reach me or else I take damage. It's time to dance, and now El Bailador adds a blue note to the right, so I need to move side to side to hit the right notes at the right times. Twirling doesn't seem to help, but El Bailador heats things up with a red note to the left, though I hit these notes just fine. Smiling gets him to smile back, but still he sends even more notes at me that I dance to with ease. So now I stop dancing and stare at him, which upsets him, then even more notes come, which I masterfully play through. Since my acts don't matter, I just start sparing while El Bailador obsesses about dancing and swarms me with more and more notes. The dance sequences keep getting harder and harder until the dancer teases a finale. Suddenly I get swarmed with tons of notes and take a lot of damage, but still make it through. Just when I think it's over, he suddenly barrages me with an even harder assault of notes, which nearly ends my life as I survive with 2 HP. Thankfully it ends here, and El Bailador says I've proven my passion, then wishes me a fulfilling journey and leaves. Pick up the dimensional satchel? You got the dimensional satchel. Wait, does that let me store stuff? Finally, I ride the elevator to the bottom, then check the left to find a gift shop. The owner has been trying to sell a mug for 13 years, so they discount it to 40 gold for me. I decide to buy it, which surprises the owner, but when I go to grab the mug, it slips onto my head and shatters on the ground. Though surprisingly, the owner's not upset and lets me keep the shards of glass for free. On top of that, the mug shards actually end up being glass ammo for my gun, which heals me when I shoot. Back outside, I head further left to reach the east mine's entrance, meaning the rock blockage is gone. So I backtrack all the way back to the dynamite monster to see that there's actually a hole in the wall. It's open! It's open! Rushing inside, I find the dynamite brother happily surrounded by microfroggets. He lets me have the treasure, so I head to the back and pick up a golden cactus, which deals 5 damage but heals 15 HP a turn for 3 turns. Finally, I head all the way back to Flowey's sandbox and further right to find a random flower patch and encounter the passive Violetta. She spins flower petals around me that I carefully avoid before I try flattering her. But she gets embarrassed and releases droplets down on me, which sprout up into dangerous stalks. Injured, I try encouraging her, so now she throws flowers at me, including a green one that I catch, which allows me to spare her. Further right, Marlet suddenly walks in and is glad I'm okay after she left me behind. She feels terrible about it, so I say it's okay, which she appreciates since she couldn't actually bring me help because then more dangerous monsters might learn that a human is here. So I choose to forgive her, which makes her very happy, then she decides to follow me. Well then, friend, shall we be off? What kind of sprite is that? She's like, ah! To the right is Oasis Valley, which is a small town with the largest body of water in the dunes. Then next to a free hug stall, I find a spider selling spider donuts for 7 gold, so I buy one, then check the free hugs cactus, but they change their mind and don't want hugs anymore. But at least the male whale has more mail for me, though I forget to check it and buy 2 more spider donuts, then leave to the right. Eventually we approach some kind of town, then suddenly a fish guy approaches and alerts his friends that we're here. Then a top hat monster, a big buff pink monster, and a short squirrel monster approach and scare us at first, but they insist that they're friendly. Though before we can leave, their leader approaches and reveals himself as North Star, who together with his friends are the Feisty Five. Just when he offers to give us a tour, he suddenly realizes that I'm a human and has Ed, the big pink guy, capture me. Marlet tries to stop them, but they won't listen to her and end up carrying me off. They lead me into some kind of saloon and slam me down onto a stool, then Star introduces me to the others as Clover the human. Apparently Star is a human expert and says that humans ride monsters into a big fiery sphere and don't get burned. His friend Ceroba disagrees, so he asks me if the monsters get burned and I say no. He interprets it as us all being fireproof, then Ceroba gives up and encourages him as everyone else cheers him on. Surprisingly, Star now lets me freely explore the Wild East and says to come back to him when I'm ready to start training. So I visit the bartender and buy 2 root beers since she won't sell me adult soda, then I head outside. But suddenly Ceroba stops me and apologizes for Star, saying that he's obsessed with human culture. She also advises me to go along with Star's plans for now while she figures out a way to help me leave. After our talk, I check the jail and find Martlet locked in a cell. Apparently she tried to fight for me, but Star's friends were too strong and threw her in here. She thinks if I play along with Star, I can get him to like me and set her free. So I leave and check a barrel outside the saloon to find a feisty slider which heals 30 HP, then I enter the clinic. The doctor offers to overcharge my health for 30 gold, so I accept and get 15 extra HP. Back outside, I explore to the east and enter a weapons shop. The owner, Blackjack, claims to be a really good shot as he spins his revolver but ends up accidentally shooting and freaking out. He claims it's because he saw a bandit, but I ignore him and check his shop, though he won't sell me a wild revolver because I'm too young. So instead I buy a fancy holster for 8 defense and the silver ammo along with possibly edible gunpowder. Outside and to the right, I find an old necklace in the sand and pick it up, then sell it to Blackjack for 100 gold. Finally, I head back to Star and tell him I'm ready to start, then he reveals he wants to make me his deputy. So I follow him to the town center where he calls together the others for our first mission, Dangerous Duel. But apparently my hat is falling apart and my gun is pathetic, so the duel is cancelled as Star leads me to the weapons store and knocks on the door. But Blackjack doesn't want to do business with Star, though eventually he comes out. Make it speedy. Of course, sir. I was just gonna ask you to sell a gun to this child. I'll give you 400 G. Well, why didn't you open with that kind pastry? Suddenly it's okay to sell guns to children if you're giving 400 gold. I see how it is. After both of them head inside to complete the deal, Star comes back out and leads me to the shooting range, then hands me the wild revolver. Suddenly a battle with a dummy begins and Starla wants me to shoot it, but instead I talk to the dummy, which confuses Star. More checks and talks don't do anything, so I give in and fight, but completely miss my shot. Star lets me try again and again, but since I'm new to shooting, I just keep missing. Eventually I land a shot, but miss the next one, though after a couple tries, I manage to land 5 shots and shoot the dummy's hat off. Star's impressed and says I passed, then brings us back to Ceroba to tell her the good news. Ceroba's impressed too, so Star leaves to get me a new hat. While he's gone, Ceroba asks me if I'm really into this and I say no, so she apologizes for Star dragging me around for the sake of his dream. Before she can go on, Star comes back with a new hat and puts it on me, but it looks exactly the same and not even Star can tell the difference. Happy with the results, Star tells me to take a break, so I head out to save, then come back to say I'm ready for round 2. We regroup outside with the others to restart our dangerous duel mission. So Mooch brings me a harmless BB gun to replace my 6-shooter while Ace brings Star and I some safety glasses. Finally, it's time to duel, so we take 10 paces away from each other, then turn around when suddenly it's time to draw. But I'm too slow and Starlo lands the first hit, winning the duel, though he lets me try again. This time I'm quicker on the draw, but Starlo gets launched backwards onto the ground and seems seriously hurt. Star, are you okay? Pretty much. The opposite of that. Oh, Star, I'm so sorry. Who will you give your inheritance to? Not you. He then reveals that it was all just an emotional trauma test and gets back up. Somehow I pass, then Star leaves to the saloon and tells me to join him there when I'm ready for mission 3. After Ace takes my glasses and gives me back my revolver, I head back to Star to tell him that I'm ready. But when we head back to the bell, the other Feisty 5 members don't show up. Star gets confused and rings the bell, then suddenly Ceroba shows up asking what's happening on the west end of town. Apparently there might be an attack from the wanted vengeful Virgil, so we head left and suddenly notice Star's friends bound to railroad tracks. All of them are tied to one track except for Ed, who's by himself on the other one. And now I have to decide which track the train will run over to save the other track monsters. Of course I choose to save the others, so suddenly the train shows up, but it's actually just a person in a cardboard box walking forward. They harmlessly crash into Ed and fall over, which upsets Ed since I didn't choose to save him. But then Star defends my choice to save many other lives over just his in this test before revealing that I passed. After he tells me to meet him in the usual spot for my final test, I head back to the saloon and tell him I'm ready. So we all regroup at the bell again, but then Star decides to skip the final mission and pass me, then make me his deputy. This makes the others jealous, but when they complain to Star, he doesn't listen and says he needs to go get my badge made, then leaves. Immediately the others surround me and complain that this isn't fair, then start a fight. Suddenly Ed slams his beefy arms into the ground to launch trios of rocks at me. Once he's done, Moray slides in with their rapier and traps me between their blades while bouncing their balls at me. I tried distracting the group, but it doesn't work. Then Ace magically pops in and slides his Deltarune cards at me. Thankfully they're easy to dodge, but now Mooch bounces in and attacks me with coins along with a bag that sucks them in. Once she's done, Ed stomps in and smashes Mooch away, then grabs me and slams me into the ground. Then it's Morey's turn again as they spin their sword towards me back and forth while changing its color, so I have to move or stand still through it to avoid damage. Once Ace is back, he pulls the spades from his cards and throws them at me, which are thankfully easy dodges before Mooch stumbles back in. Now she drops lots of coins towards me, which I easily dodge, though then suddenly Ed and Morey team up together to stab and grab at me. Things are getting harder now as Ace and Mooch team up to attack me with swarms of coins and spades. So I eat a spider donut to heal before Ed prepares his ultimate attack, but then suddenly Star shows up and stops them. But instead of being ashamed, the group confronts Star saying he's been meaner recently and they all miss how he used to be. Though this just makes him angrier as Ceroba comes in to hear Star call the others jealous. Fed up, the Feisty Four end up leaving the team one by one until even Ceroba agrees with them and leaves Star too. Now all alone, he leaves to figure out what to do, so I follow behind him. Not much further, I find Starlo talking to himself, revealing that he did all this Western stuff to cheer monsters up about being trapped down here and to help Ceroba feel better about Kaneko. But suddenly he notices I'm here and blames me for his friends leaving him, then gets the idea to do the king's work and save his popularity by taking my life. Immediately he lassos me and starts a fight while I'm tied down, but I'm still able to move a little bit and avoid his shot. He's impressed, though now he takes several more shots, but I still manage to dodge them all. Struggling in my binds doesn't help at all, so Starlo shoots at me again and again, but I still avoid his shots. So now he throws dynamite at me instead with massive explosions before dropping a horseshoe on me that spins around while I'm bound. Since that wasn't enough, he starts shooting and dropping dynamite, which sadly hits me twice. Now a bell rings which releases orange and blue waves towards me that I need to move or hold still through. Afterwards, bottles appear above me that shatter when he shoots them, dropping shards of glass onto me. I drink a root beer to heal back to full HP, then Star tries to run over me with trains. Finally, he pulls out his own gun to shoot, but his shot is easy to dodge, though he says he doesn't want to hit his lasso. Realizing what this means, I line up his lasso right where he's shooting to damage my binds. He gets upset and starts shooting faster and all over the place, but I gradually manage to trick him into chipping away at my rope until it finally snaps and I'm free. But just when I think I've won, the fight actually gets harder as his shots fire from multiple directions and chip away at my health. And while the bell attack comes back, he now also shoots at me at the same time. After I chomp on a spider donut, suddenly bullet time kicks in and I very slowly avoid his quick shots and slide away from his swarm of dynamite. Bullet time activates once more as his side shots barrage me constantly, then he fights with cross shots and dynamite throws. Finally, he only has one bullet left in his chamber as he points his gun at me with tears in his eyes, so I choose to surrender. This makes it emotionally harder for him, then suddenly Ceroba shows up and ends the fight. She calls him out on changing so much and says she wants the old Starlo back. Even though Star just wants to be appreciated as he shares surface culture for others, Ceroba insists that he can do that as long as it doesn't take over him. So Star apologizes for attacking me, then takes off his hat, revealing himself as a farmer. But after Ceroba cheers him up and he puts the hat back on, Star reveals that he also did this to bring the old her back since she changed because of Kaneko. This surprises her for a moment, then suddenly she reveals that she needs to do something about Kaneko and tells us both to join her at the old steamworks gate. Though before I join them, Marlet shows up thanks to Ceroba freeing her, but she says she has to leave me to clock in so the royal guard doesn't get suspicious. Apparently Ceroba will escort me to Hotland instead, so I head back to restock on root beers and recharge my health boost, then pass through Starlo's family farm to find the mail whale. Apparently now they can fly me to any UGPS station I've been to before, and I finally remember to check the Shuffler's letter, which tells me not to support Mo. A bit further, I catch up with Starlo and Ceroba for her to explain that her daughter Kaneko has fallen down into a coma and was sent to the lab. But Ceroba hasn't heard back from the lab in a while, so she wants to go check on Kaneko. Apparently the steamworks is the fastest route to Hotland and Star needs to make amends with his friends, so Ceroba has me join her as she inputs a code to unlock and open the big door. But once she goes inside, Star stops me to give me the deputy badge and a charming snap, so I snap back, then enter the creepy door. Once I'm inside, the door closes behind us and Ceroba tells me to stay close. So I follow her into a big room where the power source is offline and we'll need to turn it back on so we can progress. While Ceroba tries her codes, I check the left path and find a puzzle where I have to adjust the 3 tube fluid levels until all 3 are between the boundaries. Once I pull it off, a bridge extends, so I head all the way to the right for another puzzle. This time there are 4 fluid levels to manage, though with a bit of trial and error, I managed to jiggle that wheel just right and solve this puzzle too, which unlocks the big door. Somehow Ceroba doesn't notice, so I head up and left to check the washing machines for some beef jerky. On the right, I pass a bunch of closed dark chambers and eventually reach a switch to flip which powers on the facility. But on my way back, I noticed that one of those dark chambers blasted open, then returned to Ceroba. Since I got the facility powered up by myself, she decides to let me lead instead, so we head all the way up and left to pass a giant steamworks sign. But now we've got dangerous steam vents in our way, so I carefully squeeze between them and flip the lever to turn them off so Ceroba can safely catch up. Once we climb a staircase and save, I find a "You Tried" award that shows Ceroba's husband Chujin used to work here, then as we explore more, suddenly a robot bursts in. He He's Axis Model 14 and sees us as intruders even though Ceroba insists that we're just passing through, plus her husband Chujin used to work here. Then suddenly Axis reveals Chujin is his creator, but since Chujin's not here, Axis opens a trapdoor beneath us and we fall far down. Though we somehow land safely, and while Ceroba is annoyed at Axis, she doesn't want to destroy what's left of Chujin, so she hopes we can just avoid Axis. Or better yet, since Axis is all alone, Ceroba wants us to design a robot companion for him. So I agree to her idea, then bring her a trash can, a speaker, a broken TV, and a red bow, then combine all the pieces together to make an adorable robot. Ceroba likes it and somehow stores it inside her, then we open the vent and escape back to the acid lake. But then I'm attacked by a mopping robot and Ceroba wants me to handle it peacefully, so she gives me defense while I challenge the Jandroid. The floor is slippery as mop buckets slide across and into me, though Ceroba's magic absorbs the first hit, but I take damage from the second. Questioning the Jandroid doesn't help as it starts spraying at me while I struggle to slip dodge away and lose all my overheal. Then I offer to clean Jandroid, which offends them, so they dump trash onto me, but I catch the green sub, which allows me to spare the Jandroid and win the fight. Unfortunately, not much further is a dead end, but suddenly some kind of robot manta ray shows up that offers to carry us across the acid. So we hop on and sail all the way to another set of steam vents. Oh, it scared me. I just wasn't expecting to get hit right there. I don't know, it did jump scared me for some reason. But I still make it across and flip the lever so Ceroba can safely follow behind. Up ahead is a console that I activate to open a new path in the acid, so we head back to the manta ray and sail through the new opening to reach another dead end. But suddenly Mo slides in talking about glowy plants he found here and tastes it as his hat catches on fire. But he doesn't notice, so Ceroba tries to warn him, though he just interrupts her and keeps talking about the tasty plants as the fire gets worse. Thankfully, he tosses his burning hat to the ground and throws his coat over it, but even all of that catches on fire. Without reacting, he kicks the burning clothes into the acid, then snap summons his plant by plant. Oh, uh-oh. Mo, you okay? I have a few products left in my pocket. Don't go yet. He's not giving up. So I buy his moss salad, grassy fries, and flour stew, then he thanks me for always buying everything he sold since I may have saved him from financial trouble. Once he sails away on his own manta ray, we hop back onto ours and check right to dismount at a mysterious building with a strange symbol in front of the locked door. Curious, I hop back onto the manta ray and explore the lower area again until I find another island and land there to check the nearby building. Inside looks a lot like that mysterious symbol, so I interact with the lower right corner, which makes something happen somewhere. Sure enough, when I head all the way back to that locked door, it's actually open now. So of course I go inside, but Ceroba stays out as I find a golden flower. But I can't remove it from the pedestal and instead see the empty pedestals nearby that allow me to add my own items. So I pull the golden pear, golden cactus, and golden coffee out of my bag, then place them onto the pedestals one by one. Suddenly the central door dramatically opens up and I approach the entrance to see a tiny micro frogget come out and fight me. Like before, I compliment the little pixel, but before it can attack, suddenly a massive crow comes from behind it as the micro frogget bounces away. Then a mysterious large frog silhouette teases itself as suddenly the giant macro frogget reveals itself. Suddenly frogs jump on the ceiling and floor, then launch their tongues into nearby flies, hitting me as well. I try the first frog act, but the only response is frog, as suddenly frog drivers nearly run me over while I squeeze between them and their exhaust. Suddenly a green frog appears and I catch it, reducing the top right counter from 5 to 4. The second frog act leads to a questioning frog response, then little flies swarm my soul, hitting me again and again. So I eat the hot chocolate pop to fully heal, then jumping frogs appear that I fail to squeeze between, though I catch the green frog. After I drink the CT for a full heal and speed up, suddenly 2 big flies with guns appear that shoot at each other as I get caught in the crossfire. Injured again, I drink the green tea to heal, then quickly catch a space frog as a frog space pilot chases me around and shoots at me. I dodge well at first until it hits the asteroids, which shatter into pieces and distract me as it hits me again and again. So I heal up with the iced tea, then a fly gunner appears again while big frogs pounce at me, destroying my health once more. Running out of heals, I devour the moss salad, then a frog conductor plays music for deadly dancing frogs as I barely catch the green one, meaning there's only one left. Afraid to lose, I eat the honeydew pancake for another heal, then suddenly a frog ninja runs around below and jumps at me before finishing with a ranged triple wind slash. With only gunpowder left to eat, I put it in my mouth and nearly choke, but somehow it fully heals me. Suddenly a frog in a giant mech crashes down and readies its fist to crush me, so I quickly move above the mech. But then it readies its other fist to punch me, so I quickly come back down, which tricks the frog into punching itself. Damaged, I rush back up top again until it raises another fist that I come back down, so it punches itself once more, shattering the glass. That turns the pilot green, so I quickly pick them up, dropping the counter to 0 and turning the whole screen white. So, wait, what do you mean it went back up to 1? Worried ribbit. Mega Croak. There's an even bigger one! Oh my god! The final frog. What do I do? Oh, I want collection time. Terrified, I slowly approach the final frog and collect it, blinding me with a bright flash as I suddenly wake up outside by Ceroba. She asks if I'm okay, and if I fainted, then says I can take a break. But now there's a golden chest nearby, so of course I open it up and find the golden bandana. Turns out it gives a whopping 12 defense, so of course I put it on, then we hop back onto the manta and reach the west exit. So we leave the manta robot behind and enter a building, but suddenly Axis shows up behind us. Ceroba immediately runs, and I try my best to follow her, but Axis is faster than me and gradually catches up to me. Then he traps me in a room and tells me to stay here, but of course once he leaves, I open up the vent and escape out. But then he finds me again, so this time while running, I turn the corners more tightly and manage to stay ahead of Axis as he crashes and powers down. Quickly, Ceroba and I each hide in lockers, so when Axis wakes up, he gets confused and loses us. Once he's gone, we come back out and Ceroba realizes she forgot to try the companion robot, but says she'll remember next time. Well, as we approach a window in the next room, suddenly Axis shatters it and throws his big balls at me. His balls smack me several times as I struggle to get away from him, but eventually I learn to bait his throws and catch up to Ceroba. Though now Axis throws a ball at her, but she deflects it, so he approaches and charges up another. Then Ceroba tries to distract him with the robot companion, but it doesn't work, so she deflects Axis's ball right back into his face. If you went with our surprise, it wouldn't have gotten messy. Do not mock my judgment. I will return to capture you with new hands. While Axis gets new hands, we leave to the left and sit down to rest. Meanwhile, Ceroba talks about how depressing it is for monsters underground, then shows me a picture of her daughter Kaneko. Ceroba is very regretful about what happened to her daughter and decides to rest while letting me scout ahead. So I check the vending machine, which scans me and decides that I'm an unauthorized child, then tells me to leave. Apparently he's being mean to me, so I don't buy anything, but I buy the safety goggles anyway and put them on for 9 defense. Up ahead, I run into Flowey, who's glad I'm finally alone so he can talk to me. He calls Ceroba crazy and reminds me of my mission to find the 5 missing children, then says I should skip the lab and go straight to Asgore. But then he leaves as Ceroba catches up and follows behind once more until we run into a Guzik. After Ceroba shields my soul, speakers on the left and right barrage me with musical notes, but I easily dodge them all, then vibe with the music. But that doesn't work and I lose Ceroba's protection. Needle, you move Guzik's needle to a new, calmer record. Wait, oh? You liked how that felt, didn't you? You like it when I touch your needle. I try vibing to the new music, which works this time and allows me to spare them. Not much further is another series of dangerous steam vents, so Ceroba stays behind while I squeeze through and flip the lever for Ceroba to safely catch up. Now we reach a building with white vegetation flooding out and enter inside to find a whole lot more white, along with nails in a box that I pick up and use as ammo for my gun. After passing fallen robots with white plants growing over them, I learned that these white plants were being studied as an alternate power source, and since they grew too fast, blueprints for some kind of gardener robot were made. Up the stairs and off to the side, I find a box with gravity granola inside and another box with grassy fries. But as we head back up and step over some white plants, the white plant mound ahead suddenly rises up as a large robot awakens underneath and steps out. It's upset that we damaged the plants and tells us to respect them, so Ceroba apologizes. Thankfully, Gardener says not to worry while they report it as a low-level offense, but then suddenly they glitch and raise it up to level 10, which means they have to destroy us. Immediately, Gardener traps Ceroba and I between plants and starts a fight while my buttons are blocked. Testing my item button removes a vine, then Gardener tries stepping on me, so I carefully dodge but get caught by the understep. Struggling again removes another vine, then she side stomps me before shooting up 4 seeds. One more struggle and my item button is freed, but now she grows a flower beneath me before surprise triple stomping me. Now I start freeing my act button, then she threatens to call for backup before spinning a wheel that shoots at me. After I remove another act vine, she threatens to count to 3, then drops the wheel on me, which spins its deadly lasers and even changes directions. Nearly dead, I quickly heal up with a root beer, then Gardener counts 1 and steps on those large wheels to shatter their pieces onto me, which nearly destroys me. So I slurp down another root beer, then she counts 2 before assaulting me with seeds from all sides, which I thankfully dodge so I can finally free my act button. Now Gardener reaches 3 and surprisingly backup actually shows up as little robots. Once she tells them my offense is level 10 and that I need to be terminated, one shoots balls at me while the other block shatters the ball into 3 pieces. After I dodge their balls and shatters, they start chucking bricks, axes, and daggers at me, which I thankfully managed to avoid. So I remove a mercy vine, then Gardener starts step crushing wheels at me again. This time I fully dodge the attack and remove a mercy vine, so she tries stepping on me again. Finally, Finally, I managed to free my mercy button, and after dodging her friend's attacks again, I eventually free my fight button. Ceroba congratulates me and shields me as Gardener's steps trap me and her bots shoot me from the sides. Once I survive, one of the robots offers to hang out, but she just ignores them, so they leave. Now Gardener has an offense level, so I eat grassy fries to heal, then dodge her stomp attack. Picking flowers doesn't do anything, and now a new bot shows up to help her by shooting at me with a gun. After taking a couple hits, I try pleading with Gardener, which actually lowers the offense level by 1. Now her original helpers are back, but now they throw explosive bombs, dynamite, and grenades at me. Thankfully, I avoid it all and plead again to lower her offense level once more, then fail to dodge her triple steppies. Low on health, I devour the beef jerky, then dodge her wheel lasers to plead her down to 3 bars. Then after I dodge her wheel laser attacks and plead 2 more times, she stops attacking me and removes her final offense bar herself, since this whole fight happened because of a gap in her memory. So she apologizes and Ceroba compliments me as I'm finally able to spare her. Now Gardener remembers to send the level 3 report, but she doesn't get a response even after calling again and again. Then she realizes that her plants have massively overgrown and that the facility has fallen apart, so she sadly goes back to sleep. Feeling bad for her, I avoid stepping on her flowers and check the next room where I flip a switch to lower a bridge for a shortcut. Heading left, we run into the humanoid TV Televiz, who attacks me with video cassettes from the sides and the ceiling. So I help Telly fix her antennas, which makes her happy, then I watch her display some kind of dancer, which allows me to spare them. Not much further, we reach 2 paths, but Ceroba first checks the left one and tries some codes, eventually unlocking the door. So we head inside and find a dead robot at a desk, along with a sign revealing there's a robot control station 3 floors up. Since we could maybe use it to shut down access, we check the left path and find a damaged conveyor belt along with lots of boxes. But when I check the console, suddenly a robot screen wakes up and cheerfully motivates us to box and ship goods. So Ceroba asks if the robot can unlock the doors, but it'll only help us if we work and complete a shipment. Since there's no other way, I turn on the conveyor belt and watch a suitcase slide across, then crash and fade away. This angers the robot as it tells me to put red items in red boxes and blue ones in blue boxes. But when Ceroba points out the second conveyor belt is broken, the robot says no, so Ceroba jumps up to catch my boxes and throw them into the chute. I red box the TV, then skip the suitcase and coal, making sure to only box the glowing items. After 9 successful boxes, the robot opens the door, so we head upstairs, but it just leads to the next stage of the shipment. We'll have to play along for the passcode, so Ceroba mans the drop chute while I tilt the platform to sort the blue and red boxes to their appropriate chutes. Even after messing up one of the boxes, I managed to ultimately sort 9 of them, so the screen gives us the passcode of 8761. After searching the nearby trash can for beef jerky, I input the 8761 code and head up to the next floor, but somehow Axis finds us. Do not resist arrest any longer. Stand still and let my handsome hands shine. Oh. Then Ceroba leads me to a corner to hide. Hello again! Whatever you two do. She tells me to find a code so we can escape, so I find 60 gold in the nearby machine, then ignite the furnaces for light while avoiding Axis. The lights also reveal pieces of the code, so I find B2, A2, D2, and C3, then order the 4 of them alphabetically to try out a 2232 code, which opens the door. But it also turns on the lights, which leads Axis to us, though we manage to run and shut the door behind us to find a bunch of workstations and another locked door. So we head up, and Ceroba searches the filing cabinet for a code to instead find a performance report for her husband Chujin. It talks about Chujin's Axis project and how every time he showed access to King Asgore, something went wrong, so ultimately Chujin and his project were rejected. Frustrated, Ceroba tears the report apart that reveals that Dr. Alphys got the royal scientist position instead by building a robot that was extremely lifelike. Once Ceroba angrily moves on, I check the back for the 8656 passcode, then unlock the door for us to enter the robot's body. After Ceroba demands that he takes us up, she asks me why I came to the underground, so I tell her I'm looking for the 5 missing kids, which she respects as a noble mission. Then once we reach the top and exit, we head left to find a giant computer which apparently controls the robots. So I activate emergency shutdown, which seems to fail, but the computer was trolling, so the shutdown succeeds and extends an escape bridge. Further left, I save and pull gravity granola from the vending machine, then continue west until suddenly a door slams down, separating me from Ceroba. She tries to break through, but it's going to take a while, so I look around to find a powered down Axis who suddenly activates emergency backup power and turns back on. He's upset that I tried to shut him down and gets ready to attack me, but then he fails since apparently he can't attack someone who's not a threat. So he grabs a trash can lid and gives it to me to turn me into a threat so he can attack. The battle begins as Axis throws his balls at me, but I block them with the trash lid, which upsets him. Bracing with my shield, I block more and more energy ball attacks, though some slip past and damage me. But the next time I manage to block the ball, so he charges up his biggest ball and throws it at me, but I bounce it right back at him. This damages his power bar in the top left, but then he grabs me and slams me in the middle before swarming me with his balls from all sides. I manage to block them all, which nearly fills his Tickle bar, but then he charges a Kamehameha laser that I mostly absorb with my shield before deflecting yet another ball, but I completely miss. Thankfully, after I heal with Jerky, he throws another big ball which I smash right into his face. He angrily commands me not to shock him again before sliding a blue laser back and forth while dropping more of his balls on me. Thankfully, I managed to hold still through the laser while still blocking all his orbs, but then he shoves me into the middle with a moving orange laser that nearly destroys me. Thankfully, I survive and manage to smack him with his ball again, then heal up with some root beer. But suddenly steam clouds rise from below and burn me since I can't rise up from the bottom. So I scarf down the flower stew to heal before he drops several bombs on me that I carefully launch away. After I deflect yet another ball back at him which drops his energy below half, he brings in portable generators that shield him from my attacks. On top of that, he spins orange and blue lasers at me while dropping his balls that destroy my health again. It's not looking good as I waste another root beer before Axis swarms me with bombs from all sides that hit me again and again. But at least he throws another big ball which I deflect into a generator to destroy it. One root beer later, I'm surrounded by his balls as they reveal their attack order and charge me one by one. Then flashes appear before turrets suddenly spawn to triple shoot me. Thankfully, I blocked these pretty well, so it's time for another Axis ball that I deflect into his other generator which removes his shield. Screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you. Now his turrets move while shooting and I fail to block their shots, so I eat a feisty slider to heal up. Almost out of heals, I get hurt by another blue laser attack, but thankfully deflect another ball right into his face. Now his battery's almost drained as Ceroba breaks in and encourages me to shock him one last time. She wraps my heart in a barrier as Axis's balls approach me from all sides and I block them one by one. Then Axis surrounds me with his turrets, with the twitching ones suddenly opening fire. With his tickle bar charged, Axis prepares and tosses one last energy ball that I parry right into his face, depleting his battery. To save power, he shuts off his emotions, which calms him down so he's not angry anymore. So I act with plan B for Ceroba to bring back the robot companion as she slides my creation right next to him. He seems unfazed at first until he suddenly gets excited with bulging hard eyes and calls the robot his soulmate. The shimmer, the complexion, the curves. Oh yeah. I put some really good curves on this, bud. You know you like it. Hello, my name is Axis. What is your name? Uh-oh. Haha, you are so funny. Want to get married? Apparently the robot said yes, so Axis adds Ceroba and I to his authorized list, then leaves with his companion to go recharge. Finally free, we exit left and save, then eventually find an elevator. But before we go inside, suddenly Starlo and Ed show up saying they were cleaning Ceroba's house and found a secret trapdoor. Then Starlo confronts Ceroba and asks what's really going on here, what really happened to Kaneko, and why does Ceroba need me? But Ceroba doesn't answer and instead escapes into the elevator, so Starlo chases after her and tells Ed to take me back home and keep watch. Once the big guy grabs me and carries me off, Starlo rushes into the elevator, then suddenly I'm back in the Wild East as Mooch, Ace, and Moray all show up as well. Once they're caught up about Starlo chasing down Ceroba, Marlid shows up and asks about what was found in Ceroba's old house. Apparently Ed's not exactly sure, but it was enough to make him and Starlo seriously concerned, so Marlid and I leave to check it out. After we reach Oasis Valley, we head up and through an open gate to reach Ceroba's old home. Since we don't know where the trapdoor is, we start exploring and eventually find her fridge where I steal some leftover corn chowder. But I struggle to find the trapdoor as I keep exploring through Ceroba's house until I check the table with Marlid and move it with her to find the trapdoor underneath. Inside is a bunch of tapes with dates, so Marlid puts one in the tape player for a recording of Chujin to start, where he talks about a past trip to Snowdin with his daughter. Then while Kaneko wandered off to play with someone, suddenly a human entered the area and attacked Kaneko's friend. Kaneko could have been attacked as well, which enraged Chujin, so he decided to look into a way to stop humanity. And sure enough, he decided on Boss Monster since he actually carries the Boss Monster gene, which makes his soul stronger than other monsters and even makes him immortal as long as he doesn't have children. So if he could spread the Boss Monster gene to the rest of monster kind and make them immortal, then they could grow their numbers and fight back against humanity. He thinks he can fuse a human soul with the Boss Monster soul to create a serum that can upgrade any monster, and experimented on himself to test this. Unfortunately, these experiments damaged his soul, making him not have much longer to live, so he left a message for Ceroba telling her to find the next human who falls down here. They need to be pure of heart so Ceroba can take their soul and fuse it with the Boss Monster's soul. But Chujin clearly says that the monster needs to be a willing Boss Monster and absolutely not their daughter Kaneko. Once that's over, Marlid is shocked, so we rush back to the group and explain that Ceroba wants my soul to fuse it with Kaneko's. After Ace explains that Kaneko fell down some time ago and was sent to the lab for help, Marlid gets the idea to chase Ceroba down and stop her. Ed and Mooch try to talk Marlid out of it since she'd be delivering me right into Ceroba's hands, but Marlid insists that we'll be okay, so she flies on ahead and the others leave. Then suddenly Flowey shows up to say that he told me so. He knows I won't ignore Ceroba and even wants to see what will happens since we'll ultimately get back to his plan of reaching Asgore anyway. So I head back to Oasis Valley and then ring the mail bell for the mail whale to bring me new letters. One is an urgent letter from Starlo explaining that after Ed found Ceroba's secret room, they realized I might be in danger and want me to come back to the Wild East. The other letter is from Dal saying that he and the other ruins monsters left that place to settle in Snowdin and he hopes I come by to visit. But first, I head back to Ceroba's home and check the left path to find Chujin's grave. Behind the stone, I notice a strange indentation in the dirt and decide to dig there, finding a new videotape. Immediately, I rush back into the building and down to the basement to play the tape for Chujin to appear, saying Axis is dangerous. Chujin just wanted to stop the human who hurt Kaneko's friend by capturing the human. But when Chujin told Axis to track them down, immediately Axis rushed to Waterfall and found the human there, ending their life before Chujin could catch up and stop him. But this did get Chujin a human soul, which he wouldn't give to Asgore till he was done with it. Wondering what happened, I ride the mail whale back to the steamworks. How can I play a movie I like? Your movies go against the very nature of television. Gratuitous violence, heavy cursing, a secret third thing. Wait, what's the third thing? Is it sus? Oh, you mean off limits. What have you been watching? What are you putting on the screen? Why do I see dragons? Why do I see them making those facial expressions? Oh no, turn it off! I then head all the way left to Ceroba's elevator and enter inside. Riding it to the top, I exit outside to Hotland and find a dance floor along with El Bailador. Moves so hot, my worries are melting away. I'm gonna boogie! I'm doing my dancey dance! Heading up the stairs, I find a trail of blue feathers which leads to a trash can with a hot dog and another with monster candy. Before continuing up the stairs, I turn back and enter Yuji Apartments. Oh, howdy. For kicks and giggles, why don't we tally up your death total? You died 0 times, that's right! Bro bosses! I didn't die on any bosses. That can't be right. 0? Really? Yeah, really, I'm pro bosses. So then I walk over to the elevator to head back to new home. It's busy, so I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and literally 3 hours pass! Next thing I know, the elevator opens, but oops! Mr. Cursor has a tendency to time out and fall asleep every 5 minutes, so I missed my one chance! And now I'm stuck here and don't know when I'll ever get to- Oh no, it happened again. After the handlord tells me that Martlet wants me to meet her on the roof, I first check the shop to find the cashier Bits using a sock puppet. But when I call it a sock, Buttons gets angry and wants to punch me. So I buy a Deltarune patch for 10 defense and put it on, then go back and buy 2 CB strudels. Finally, I head out and follow the blue feathers back to those stairs, then head up to the roof. Sure enough, Martlet is here and reveals that Ceroba and Starlo are at the capital city, so she fist bumps me, then we head inside of the elevator and ride it down to the capital city. Once we're there, we head left and up to eventually reach a save point. Further up, we find Starlo cornering Ceroba as she tells him to back off so she can go to the lab. Suddenly, Martlet blows our cover and tells Ceroba we know the truth and that she needs to let this go. Starlo, of course, is mad that I'm here instead of safe back home, while Ceroba is pleased since now she can take my soul to Kaneko to finish Chujin's work. But when Martlet points out that Chujin himself said not to involve Kaneko, Ceroba just gets angry. Starlo tries to talk her down, but she just won't listen, so Martlet tries to fly me away, but quickly Ceroba shoots us down. Then as Starlo tries to stop her, Ceroba slams him to the side, knocking him out. Now it's just me and Ceroba as I get back up and she apologizes for what she's done. But still, she's determined to complete her mission and help monster kind at any cost as she starts a fight. Suddenly she shoots fireballs from beneath me that destroy my barrier from before, then shatter sprays me to burn me some more. I try negotiating with her, but she doesn't listen as she instead sends rows of death petals towards me that I carefully squeeze between. Calmly taking a breath doesn't help either as her petals blow around me and pile up below. Angrily looking at her accomplishes nothing as she locks me in place while blasting me with death petals until she ends my life. But I stay determined as Flowey reminds me not to mess things up and I try again. Reaching that point once more, I devour the hot dog to heal, then move around way more to avoid her paralysis magic and petals, but get caught and damaged towards the end. Now she surrounds me with spiraling petals that close in on me and explode. I fail to squeeze through the gaps and nearly lose, so I quickly snack on a gravity granola to heal as Ceroba gets frustrated since I won't die. Suddenly she bounces bell bombs at me that explode into blue and yellow waves which catch me multiple times, so I immediately scarf down the fruitcake to heal as Ceroba creates a black hole near me which sucks in waves of death petals. Somehow I fully avoid the attack, but now she summons fireballs to shatter nearby pillars and hit me with their debris. As if that wasn't enough, now her staff doubles and stabs me before turning orange and spinning around as she then shotguns those lethal petals from the side. Barely alive, I devour the beef jerky she demands me to die and surrounds me with her fireballs that smash into the middle and release a rain of fire that I thankfully avoid. Her eyes twitching. What is that? Whoa, 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 whoa! I don't have space! What? I'm alive? Why no? She then tearfully charges up a powerful super blast. And just before it hits me, time freezes and my soul turns around as I charge up a big yellow shot that destroys her own and knocks her to the ground. After Ceroba gets back up, she pulls out a mask and puts it on, transforming her into her powerful kitsune form, and she immediately attacks me with clusters of masks and fire. Thankfully, I can shoot the masks to destroy them, but suddenly she surrounds me with explosive petals that spiral around and close in on me before putting a full circle around me that I can't avoid. But suddenly time stops and I press X, which dashes me through the petals without taking any damage. Immediately, Ceroba casts a protective yellow diamond around her as the real fight begins. It turns out I can actually shoot her diamond barrier, but I also need to shoot the lanterns and dodge her fireballs. Then I try the new Hope Act, which temporarily increases my defense as her masks appear around me to launch more fire at me. The Endure Act actually heals me a whopping 9 HP as I shoot her diamond again and again, but get hit by her fire. So I endure once more to fully heal, then destroy her bells, which release colored waves. Getting hit by 2, I endure yet again and keep shooting Ceroba's diamond, then try the Remember Act, which temporarily increases my speed. Suddenly, a large kitsune mask appears above me with long tassels that sway into me as I struggle to shoot and dodge. Since I took lots of damage, I devour the CB strudel, then shoot Ceroba's crystal enough to immediately end her attack and reveal 4 yellow bells. So I Hope Act for more defense, then shoot at the bells as they spray spirals of fire at me. I managed to destroy 3 of them in one go, then hope again to replenish my shield and destroy the last bell, which shatters the diamond. As Ceroba falls to the ground, I shoot at her mask again and again until one eye hole cracks and releases a blinding light. Suddenly, I see a flashback of Chujin on his deathbed, revealing to Ceroba that he doesn't have long to live. So he tells Ceroba about the secret basement along with a message he left for her to watch after he passes away. In tears, she agrees to watch, but their hidden daughter Kanako happened to peek in and witness everything that happened. Suddenly, the flashback ends and Ceroba is shocked that I saw her memory, so she gets mad. Once she flies up and restores her barrier, I Hope Act to restore my barrier, then dodge a flaming geyser and circles of death petals along with fireballs and bell rings. Taking no damage, I hope again, then dodge more fire, geysers, and rings while shooting at Ceroba's barrier more and more. Now she black hole sucks me into a geyser while surrounding me with petals and more flame hitting me several times. So I devour a gravity granola to fully heal, then I quickly finish shooting Ceroba's barrier, which ends her attack early. After destroying the 4 bells yet again, I bring her to the ground once more and crack the other eye hole for another blinding flash of light. This flashback starts with Chujin saying not to involve Kanako in this mission, but it turns out to be Kanako watching the tape. Ceroba catches her daughter, but it's too late as Kanako blames herself for her father's death. Ceroba tries to correct Kanako, but she won't listen, instead revealing that she found Ceroba's formula in the trash where she figured out how to make Chujin's serum. Supposedly, Ceroba removed the corruption from the human soul extract so she didn't need a pure of heart human anymore. So now Kanako wants to be the boss monster for the fusion, but Ceroba said Chujin didn't want to involve Kanako. But the little girl insists that she wants to do this, and Ceroba ultimately gives in, so Ceroba grabs the syringe and injects her daughter with it, turning her soul blue, then back to white. Things seem okay at first until Kanako suddenly collapses and her soul cracks. Ceroba quickly catches her, but it's already too late as Kanako doesn't wake up and Ceroba tearfully regrets her choice. Back to present time, Ceroba realizes I know the truth and admits she's wrong, but she's still determined to complete this mission because it's all she has left. With a powerful shriek, she draws her staff once more and recharges her barrier, then blasts me with streaks of dark red magic, rains of fire, and double flame geysers. I eat my last CB strudel, then keep shooting at Ceroba's barrier while dodging through her bell rings and fire mask. One endure later, I struggle to dodge her flame masks and petals, but chip away at her diamond more and more. After another endure, I'm in a narrow dodge box, which is much easier to handle, letting me shoot her barrier a lot more. Finally, I break her barrier, then get to shoot at her 4 bells again, destroying them one by one till she drops to the ground. But when I shoot her mask, she starts blocking with her staff, so I charge up a big shot which breaks through her staff and shatters her mask. Powerless, Ceroba collapses to the ground and picks up the pieces as she finally gives up. Overwhelmed with guilt after what happened to her husband and daughter, then realizing what she's done to Starlo and Martlet, she tells me to do what needs to be done. Now I can choose to fight or show mercy, so of course I show mercy, which surprises her as she asks me to end her. Once again I choose mercy, she demands me to pull the trigger. Feeling bad for her, I give in and choose fight, then she actually thanks me. So I slowly take aim as the circle shrinks and fire in the red zone, dealing 1,000 damage as her body suddenly turns to dust. All that's left is her mask as Starlo suddenly wakes up confused and asks me where Ceroba is. I tell him I'm sorry, then he realizes what I mean as he approaches Ceroba's broken mask and picks it up. Now Martlet wakes up and realizes what happened, wishing she could have helped. No one wanted it to end this way, but what? What the hell did Ceroba do to deserve this? It seemed like she had killed you two and she was trying to kill me? What? It's okay for everyone to kill me, but it's like the end of the world if I return the favor. Marla defends me, saying that Ceroba attacked her and Starlo, plus she was prepared to take my life and fuse my soul with Kanekos. But Starlo defends Ceroba, saying that she felt like she had no other way, and if she was instead forgiven and given a chance, things could have been different. Marla insists that we tried for peace and even to run away, but Ceroba wanted us dead. Surely what I did was the just thing to do. But Starlo doesn't care because now he's lost his best friend. Sure, maybe what I did was just, but to Starlo, I'm lower than dirt. As he walks out with Ceroba's mask and I step out of his way, he considers reporting me to the Royal Guard or getting revenge, but he knows that would just make things worse for him. So all he does is regret that he didn't shoot me when he had the chance, then he leaves. That annoys Martlet, so she apologizes to me since I'm having to deal with this and wonders if we could have done something differently. But it's too late now, and Martlet wants to get me home, so she follows behind as I leave the area and head right to the castle elevator. Once inside, we ride to the bottom, then exit down and pass through Judgment Hall and reach the door to the throne room. Before we enter inside, Martlet stops me and thanks me for our journey together since she knows this is goodbye. But she's hoping to find me again on the surface once monster kind is free. Once she's done, I follow her inside to find King Asgore humming over a bed of golden flowers. Martlet greets the king and he politely welcomes her and is grateful for her service as a royal guard. But once he asks why she's here and she steps aside to reveal me, Asgore's attitude completely changes to shock as he staggers backward. Martlet apologizes for the surprise, then the confused Asgore asks if Martlet was given a royal guard handbook and is aware of what she's supposed to do to humans. She's fully aware, but she insists that I'm different and peaceful and want what's best for others. Though when she says I need to go back home to the surface, Asgore reveals that it's not that simple and that sadly we'll have to fight. Martlet argues against this and asks me to help by saying something, but instead I bow my head and don't say a word. Martlet is shocked and begs me to reconsider, even offering to let me live with her in Snowdin. But still I remain silent, so she gives up and slowly walks away in sadness, looking back at me one last time before leaving me with the king. Politely, he guides me across the golden flowers into the next room, then through another door. Inside is a long and bright hallway which Asgore reveals is the barrier trapping monsters down here. Suddenly the king reveals 7 soul canisters and 5 of them each have a soul of the kids I'm looking for. Overwhelmed with shock, I immediately point my revolver at him, then Asgore sadly sympathizes with me for my loss since the world took a lot from him too. But then his tone suddenly changes as he says he'll make this quick, which immediately puts my soul in a box as his hands summon fireballs that chase me down. After I dodge that and several fire cluster attacks, I carefully slide through openings and rings of fire, then squeeze through a couple fire strands. Somehow it's still not my turn as a wide spread of fire approaches and manages to hit me. Then his second-hand fireball summon attack strikes me as well until I once again dodge the rings of fire. But then suddenly a fire ring with no opening closes in on me for unavoidable damage, chipping off pieces of my soul and making me slower. It's clear I can't win this fight as my slowed self fails to dodge again and again until suddenly my soul is captured in a canister of its own. Not happy with this outcome, I load back to deciding Ceroba's fate and choose to show mercy this time. Suddenly Starlo wakes up and surprisingly isn't angry at Ceroba as she apologizes. Then Martlet wakes up too and Ceroba reveals she lost and feels that there's no more hope for her. But Starlo sympathizes with Ceroba and tries to cheer her up while Martlet explains that Ceroba can still make things right by making more positive choices from now on. Martlet even offers to investigate Kaneko's situation in the lab to try and help. Ceroba appreciates that, then gets up and apologizes to me, but before she can even finish, I approach and hug her, which leaves her speechless as she hugs back. Now Martlet says it's time for me to leave to Asgore so I can go home, but Ceroba points out that Asgore won't care how nice I am and will take my soul anyway. Martlet offers to hide me in Snowdin instead, but Ceroba insists that the Royal Guard would hunt me down and eventually find me. Plus Martlet worries about future humans because how come I get to live happily while those humans would have their souls taken instead? Ceroba says maybe those humans might not end up being as pure as me, so maybe they might deserve it. The argument is painfully overwhelming as I step back and think to myself, remembering the hopeless words of monsters talking about being stuck down here. Lost in thought, my soul flashes from inside me as the others ask what I'm doing. With only one option, I say it's time, which confuses Martlet as I clarify that it's time to go. Martlet realizes that I'm offering my soul and begs me to reconsider, then even Starlo tells me to rethink this and offers to let me stay with him. But Ceroba realizes I'm serious and recognizes that there really isn't any other way, then Martlet understands that I'm doing this for monster kind's freedom. So Martlet comes over and gives me a big hug, then Starlo approaches as well to do the same before whispering to Ceroba to come over and hug me as well. But now that it really is time, I pull out my revolver and give it to Starlo, which he gratefully accepts before stepping back. And as Martlet says her sad goodbyes, I take off my hat and give it to her, then she steps back with the others. Once the two of them leave us, Ceroba approaches with a soul container and captures my yellow soul inside, then asks if I want her to stay. I tell her to go on and that I'll be okay, then she tearfully says goodbye and leaves as I gradually collapse to the ground. Suddenly I hear Flowey, who's disappointed that I went through all of this just to become another of Asgore's human souls. He says he could undo this, but he lets me rest as he instead waits for the next human. Nearing my end, I pull myself towards the wall and lay back against it, spending my final moments in the shade as my journey comes to an end. Meanwhile, Marlit, Ceroba, and Starlo carry my soul over to Asgore's room, then enter inside. The shufflers actually work for Mo now as they bring him money and pamper him. Plus, Axis and his date savor a romantic gondola ride together paddled by a chef robot. Then suddenly, Marlit is in a waterfall near a raft and says the king promoted her, but after what happened to me, she decided to quit being a royal guard. Then as a tribute to me, she puts my hat in the raft as suddenly Ceroba and Starlo approach. They appreciate Marlit doing this for me, and Starlo even approaches the raft to put my revolver inside. Then even Dalv shows up and introduces himself as the monster I met when I first fell down here. He shakes Marlit's wing hand, then Starlo also adds the safety glasses to the raft to keep me safe on my journey. Finally, Marlit picks up the raft and places it in the water while the group says goodbye to me one by one, then watches the raft slowly drift downwards. Once the raft reaches the waterfall, the glasses crash and bounce away while my hat and gun crash onto a bed of golden flowers. Then, much later, I hear somebody call for help and answer the call.